You're listening to Diamondback Radio, the internet's #1 top-rated airsoft podcast. Said nobody ever. Powered by Fujin Airsoft. Why the fuck haven't you bought a Shinto plate carrier yet, nerd? If you're not in 2,000 pounds of credit card debt, can you even call yourself an airsofter? Diamondback Radio. What is happening, airsofters? Welcome back to Diamondback Radio. Come on in and pull up a chair and listen in for your latest. Apologies on last week for not posting anything up. I was a bit under the weather, and so was the rest of the family. Papa Nurgle did bless us with the cold, so I'm still hocking up some of my lungs, so do apologise if my voice isn't as silky smooth as it normally is. So, which actually works to our advantage, because now it's the 10th episode. How the hell have I still managed to get this going for 10 episodes? But it's only fitting that I do my end-of-year debrief with none other than the 10th Legion. That's right, I've got Campbell coming back in with some of his lads to talk about how their year's gone. So, there won't be any reviews or anything this year, because this fucking episode, what am I even talking about? So there'll be none of that. It's going to be all about these guys, because the audio is about an hour long. So it's going to be a pretty cool little deep dive into how their year's gone. And so in the meantime though, I'm going to play a little bit of music that I've prompted Suno to kindly do for us, all about the guys from the 10th. So hope you enjoy it, and we shall catch you after this.
Fall.
Ready for your close-up? Diamondback Spotlight. Alright guys, welcome back. So this week I'm joined by Campbell again of the 10th Legion Airsoft team, and this week he's brought a couple of friends with him. So lads, we'll go around the room and introduce yourselves.
Yeah, alright. LX35, Brooks, Centurion. Just recently joined the squad, I'd say about four months ago, I'd say. I've got into this probably through Campbell, just because he said he was doing it. I thought I'd go and give it a go. Next thing I know, I absolutely loved it. And then, yeah, that's where we are today.
Hey all, I'm Praetorian Nick, LX31. I've been at the team now for as long as I can remember. Started off playing airsoft about 7 years ago, but by myself pretty much most of the time. Was getting a bit bored with it. Then I see a Campbell's advertisement post to join the 10th Legion. Contact them. I've never looked back since. It was the best thing I've ever done. I believe I probably wouldn't be playing airsoft now if I hadn't. I might have a lot more money in my pocket, but I enjoy it.
You're right. I'm Jay, LX30, Optio. I'm quite new to Airsoft, and I'm just taking it day by day. I joined the team when Harry moved up this way from down south, and I've made quite close mates with all the team so far. It's been a good time.
Yeah, well, it's great having you guys along for this one. So, I touched base with Campbell earlier in the year, and obviously you come into the end of your 2025 campaign. Do you want to know what's been the biggest highlight of your year?
Well, as the lads here, I think most of them joined just after the start of the year. Although they've all been here for the majority of all the big things that have happened and whatnot, which has been a fair few. I would say the biggest highlight is probably the members that have joined us, including these lads here. The boost in recruitment we had, especially towards the first half of the year, and the quality of members we gathered. But long story short, I couldn't have asked for better members, better lads in the team. So I'd say that's the highlight, which obviously ties in with me moving the team up here as well to the north. So I believe that's probably the biggest highlight so far. To be fair, probably not just of 2025, but since the inception of the team, the birth of the team 3 years ago. That's probably one of the best things that's happened for the team. They've all the lads that have joined, especially up here, they've all brought something new, something individual, something unique to the team, new personalities, new ideas, and it just all works really well. It keeps the machine going, keeps it ticking over. So that's what I'd say. I'd definitely sort of, give them the round of applause for that. They've created the biggest highlight, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, it's like a real sense of camaraderie.
Absolutely. Which, without that, you haven't really got a team, have you? So, you're just a bunch of drones. But no, it's. I mean, for me personally, I'd probably say, in regarding the team, it was probably our first Wainwright together, which was we conquered Helvel and a few other Wainwrights that day. But that really was the start of the sort of social aspect, I suppose you could say, where, like I said to you in the last podcast, it's not just airsoft. It's much more than that. Airsoft is the bread and butter, but there's so many other things which we do as a team. So many achievements, challenges, things to look forward to, and so on, that every milestone we hit is the new biggest high, as it were. That's how it feels anyway.
Yeah, certainly how it comes across to me. It's like a real sense of like a true brotherhood, like just a group of guys who just kind of like help people along, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's what we strive to create, which we have created rather. And we try and keep going. With all the negatives going on in the world at the moment, and the negatives we as a team have encountered, we don't let it bother us. If anything, the old saying of, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And we have really prospered with that mentality, 150%. We've had people try to damage our rep, damage us on team days, game days, all sorts. And they're the ones that end up, missing out at the end of the day, reaping what you sow, so to speak. So,
yeah, sounds like a lot of trials and tribulations that you've faced like this year, and I imagine in the past as well. But I guess what's been sort of like the biggest challenge for you guys in that regard?
I'm gonna ask Mick to answer this one.
It's a funny one because Campbell's already touched on the striding edge, which is obviously a challenge, and for me was special as well because it was on me. I'm not going to say how old I was. It was on my birthday. Yeah, and it was a unique experience. The weather was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
You could possibly, like, views, nothing, but we had the whole ridge to ourselves, and we conquered it. And I think that was the kind of team spirit that we've got, and we'll take that kind of team spirit to game days with her. Since then, we've also done the Hadrian's Wall Patrol with more members, and everything just works. It does. I know Harry touched on that. People try to spoil the game days. It's just jealousy, you know what I mean? They see we're becoming successful, and rather than be part of it, they just try to break it, but we'll get there. And yeah, so for me, the biggest challenge was not the Airsoft game days, it's with team events outside of Airsoft. That's making it a family.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely there. Excellent stuff. So, what would you say has been a moment this year where the team's really, really stepped its game up?
I mean, everyone's free to chip in on this one, I suppose.
Many.
I think it's since I joined the team. If I'm going to throw that in. But no, you're all free to chip in.
Yeah, Roger.
I'd probably say it's quite recently because we had a massive boom of people trying to join or wanting to join, and I think that's been a good thing quite recently. Obviously, there was a decent amount of people, decent group of lads beforehand, but then I think it's quite significantly increased in the past 3-4 months. I think, especially getting the name out there and everything, I think it's just been. I just think it's been excellent.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just to chuck my 20 pence on that. It's weird because, like I said, like each new high each new challenge we accomplish or beat is the next new high for the team, so to speak. But you can tell very quickly by looking at the individuals in the team, by how they perform on game days. We're constantly reaching those next levels, whether it be lads getting equipped, which, I mean, 90% of the lads look fucking absolutely stellar. We're all wearing the same camo, decently equipped. The training, the lads are slowly progressing through the training that we deliver. Therefore, bettering themselves, they're performing better each game day. And so you enter these new realms each time everyone as a whole passes that next stepping stone. You almost notice a new team has evolved. And like Brooke said there, it feels very recently that the last time we reached that next level was accomplished. And like I say, it's the lads. Without the lads, we wouldn't be achieving each time we move forward throughout the year, each game day. I don't know, Jay. Do you have anything else? Like, do you reckon there's something at a different time we might not have picked up yet or something?
Going back to the social aspect, I think since then, we've all got along a bit better, got to know each other, and it's rolled over into our games.
Oh, excellent. So you mentioned there about gear and equipment. The burning question for me is, have you guys experimented with any new loadouts, tactics, or roles this year?
Loadouts wise, like I say, we're fairly fluent in what our members equip themselves with. We don't necessarily have, we don't go right. You've joined the team. You got to get this. You got to get that. You are a fucking rifleman. You are an SMG guy. You are a shotgunner. It's not so much that, but obviously there is a huge variety, and people obviously have their own preferences and whatnot. We do have a certain couple of I would call common sense rules, unspoken rules, where we're a milsim team. It's no good having one of your riflemen within your squad in a full ghillie suit with a bolt action sniper, because obviously when you get engaged at close range, that guy's next to useless, if anything, a liability. So we do sort of have a few unspoken rules. We do have, which is currently vacant, what we call a speculatores role, or a speculatores squad, and they're essentially what the Romans would have called deep reconnaissance. So they sort of act as our recce sniper team. Like I said, they're currently vacant at the moment, but when we reach that number of members, we can open up special assets like that. And again, talking about new roles, obviously we've got the speculatores. Other things that I would like to open is a FSG, or a fire support group. So again, we can have our 3 sentries or our 3 squads, and then we can have an FSG attached to either one of them, depending on the game day, depending on numbers and the objective and whatnot. And that could be like a 2 or 3 man squad where you've got 1 or 2 gunners with belt-fed weapons, and then a support guy like their number 2 who can be their close protection. And that really, really ramps up the sort of milsim aspect of it, because it's little tiny bits and pieces of realism like that, which unless you've got military experience or knowledge, or you've read a lot of books, you'll never even know about. You'd think as machine gunners as just not just machine gunners, but how that actually implemented in the real world. That's what makes the difference when you try and implement that into airsoft. So the goal with, apart from just recruitment in general, is being able to open up these assets in good time. Obviously that ties into the loadouts, the equipment and whatnot. Belt-fed weapons aren't that common in airsoft, really, compared to every other sort. So it's also trying to find individuals who are either willing to buy their own belt-fed, or who join the team with a belt-fed. But again, like I mentioned, more and more members of the team jumping over to the ATAX FG pattern of camo, which is great to see, because that is the team camo. No one's persuaded or forced or groomed into buying it, but the more and more they get invested into the team, obviously human nature, the more you want to fit in. So you see 8 other blokes in a team wearing this camo pattern, you start subliminally yourself wanting to fit in with them, which means looking like them. And the next thing you know, you've spent a stupid amount of money on a set of ATACs. But yeah, it looks really good. I want to try and get some more team pictures of when we've got a really good turnout. There's 10, 15 of us all stood there in ATACs. That would be fucking wicked. I'd be happy with that. Tactics, as you well know, I mean, we conduct training every game day. So in terms of tactics, we're a more conventional fighting force in terms of airsoft. We will get to the point where I start teaching CQB. But my belief, and from my experiences, is you need to nail the basics, do the basics well before you can move on to the more complicated stuff. Although, game days happen where, there's bunkers on site, there's buildings, there's fobs. Obviously, the lads use whatever CQB knowledge they have to the best of their ability. But there's still more yet for lads to utilize, which will come in time. I mean, you three here, I mean, you're more than welcome to speak up and say what you think. I might miss something.
No, like I say, since joining the team and Harry Campbell started doing his training in the morning of game day, what I've learned since then in formations or just general movements has been the best knowledge I've ever picked up since airsoft. It's no longer just a case of going Rambo, shooting people. It's like we practice, and then when we go out in the field and we play like we're trained, it works, and it feels like an achievement.
It is the case of trying out the tactics, trying it out in game day, and seeing it working is quite a good thing to see, because it isn't just a case of, oh yeah, it's good to see it working. It's also everyone enjoys winning. It's a case of that working in a team as a bigger team is obviously it makes the victory a bit much sweeter, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean that's coming from a Navy guy, so that just tells you, you know what I mean. So, but he's right in what he's saying. When this team was at its biggest, we had about 40 full-time active members, and when we used to deploy down to ground zero, we would field close to 20 blokes at a game, which meant we took up a large portion of the player base. And for me personally, I'm essentially commanding a platoon like you would do in the real world army. Platoon's obviously a little bit bigger, but 20 blokes, 2 full sections plus a bit. It's my burden to bear, but obviously I don't get involved as I'd like to, because my job isn't to run and gun and conduct fire and movement drills and clear buildings. I've got to stay back and control the firefight, whereas these lads here, that's their job, to win the battle. But it is something completely different from a group of casuals, so to speak, just running as a horde towards that tower, to having those 20 blokes all in near perfect formation, moving professionally, with purpose, and then still winning the day. It's like, this just proves that training matters. And that's all I always say that to other teams we meet, other competent individuals we meet. It's like, you might get some people, especially like the younger ones, that look at us training and they might find it a bit funny, might have a little giggle, and it's like, you're laughing, but it fucking works. And our game days and again, I don't like to focus on our win rates and stuff, but our win rate just goes to show how well or how important training can be and how efficient the team is in conducting said drills.
Because it is a case of last few game days, from as far as I remember, it has been a case of they let you obviously on the same team of who you come with, and just at the end of the day, they end up changing the teams, moving people around, or even just taking off our team and just keeping our group together, just so the other team has a fighting chance, which is a small victory in itself. And then it also gives you a bit more of a firefight later down the line, rather than just storming the objective, holding it, storm the next one, holding it. It gives a bit more back and throw with it, which I think it makes it slightly more enjoyable with. But yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, again, just to touch on one of the anecdotes Brooks touched on there. I mean, we had a game day very recently, I think it was a month or so ago, where literally we were smashing, and this isn't, we're not blowing our trumpet, this is just factual, but we weren't winning the day that hard. I remember saying to Mick on multiple times, like, I'm bored. Like, I'm genuinely bored. We were taking the objectives in like 2 or 3 minutes, sat on the objectives waiting for a counter-attack that never came. To the point where it's like, well, I might as well start rebombing our mags. It was ridiculous, wasn't it, Mick?
It was. It was as if they went home early for the Sunday dinner. But we just played that good that day. We smashed them, and we're victims of our own success then. So we had boring moments because we smashed them that hard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is very rare to see like a team so well organised. I mean, I've fallen prey to the whole thing of like stick with the team, but then you sort of break off, go Rambo, like you say, and it's easy done, but it's just really cool to see that you guys have got like that discipline down. And yeah, you know, like let the haters hate. I mean, if they're gonna be dicks about it and be like, oh well, what you's doing, sort of thing, it's like, well, we're actually fucking winning, so you know, it's like let them lose.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, I want to point out that, you know, no one's perfect. This team's not perfect. We don't always win. You know, we're not stuck up our own asses. Obviously, we like to highlight games we do really well in because, you know, I can give work on point. Whether we win or lose, there's always learning points and work on points. But there's also praise to be given. Like, you know, that went really well. Fucking well done. Do it again next time. But yeah, we've had, again, multiple conversations over the last year with marshals where, you know, the enemy team, you know, whether they're whinging, moaning, going home early, which is quite a common thing for some reason, they just tend to get fed up and go home, which means there's less people to shoot, but hey ho. But I said to him, I was like, you know, all you need really when you're fighting a skirmish game, on a game day rather, is good communication, discipline, a bit of courage, and good teamwork. So all of those things, if you join a decent team, you should get all of those things. And so my argument to people is, if you're always losing or you lose often, you're not too sure why, try joining a decent team. Not a bunch of blokes that organise themselves on Facebook and meet up every fucking 4 Sundays, but join a decent professional team who are organised, they have infrastructure, you know, they've been around a little bit, they've got competent members with different experiences, and you'll notice the difference. You will absolutely notice a difference, as I'm sure all of these boys have had since they've played, you know, either before they joined the team and then joining the team and noticing it. But again, it's trying to instill that fact that people who play alone, 9 times out of 10, not always, but 9 times out of 10, will not do, obviously won't do as well as a team that's attending that same day. Not just because they're outnumbered, but they're missing all the core qualities that help victory be achieved, you know.
Well, that's it. Like I say, it certainly helps to be with a group of guys that know what they're doing and gives you the best possible start in like this sort of like play style, really. So, on that sort of vein, are there any team members this year that have really shone out in terms of like their progress or level of leadership capabilities?
I'm going to let them answer that.
I was going to let Campbell.
Let's go for it.
Sorry.
So I'm going to nominate my person that surprised me the most is Brooks, because for his size, pardon the pun, he's one of our newest members, but he's also pretty much went straight into a rank which he deserved for the short amount of time he's been here. Like Jay and myself, we have
said it's just how the discipline with it. It's just
we've been here from the start, but Brooks impressed that fast, and to hold the ranks that he has holds now is a massive achievement in my eyes.
Thanks, lad.
I heard you say that. Yeah, I put Brooks.
I agree with you on.
So,
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah,
100%.
There's always one person
Mine
that
would be
stands
Brooks
out
as well.
There's many people that stand out, but there's one person that, in my eyes, that stood out for how fast he came through, and for me, that's Brooks.
Okay.
If I want to, if you want to pinpoint it to somewhere, I think it is, which I was surprised quite a lot of, because we are getting quite a lot of ex-forces that are joining up, and I think it is just kind of being in that environment, given that mindset. I think it, in a sense, it does absolutely from the start get absolutely drilled into you. So I think it's just that mindset getting passed on, and it is just in a sense passing down the knowledge and passing down how, well, in a sense, leadership is meant to be. Well, in regards, with
Yeah.
some people in the military. But
Oh, I agree, and I do. They're definitely valid when it's him. I'm going to pick someone different just for variety's sake. I'm going to pick Nigel, which I'm sure you guys will. I'd like to think you would agree. I think you've all worked with him.
Yeah.
Nigel joined us again not very long ago at all. I recruited him from work, funnily enough, and he has never,
Yeah,
he's
100%.
no military experience. He's never even heard of what a milsim is. You know, he thought it was someone's name. Bless him. He nothing, absolutely nothing, and he's gone from essentially wearing. He didn't wear a tracksuit, but essentially wearing civvies, maybe a pair of combat trousers, to fully geared. And I'll tell you what, he doesn't have an awful lot to say, but when he does, it's worth listening to. But also, he really plays the game the way the team embroids that, which again, I'm sure you lads here will agree, is if you ask something of him or orders are given out for an objective, he executes them always to the best of his ability. You don't have to keep pestering him. You don't have to keep reminding him. You don't have to keep checking up on him. An example I can think of, we had a game a few months ago. We had to defend whilst the rest of the team attacked. And it was me and Nigel. And we sat there for about 5.5 hours on this one objective, defending it, knowing full well how boring it was. We had a few sporadic counter-attacks, but nothing major. And I was just impressed. He was a brand new guy to the team, and he stuck with me the whole day, conducting this boring routine of defending an objective from a dug-in position. And you don't get that often. Even from within the team, I would say, people can get bored very easily. So to have that sort of self-discipline near enough from the get-go,
I'd go
is
and
a
nominate.
rarity.
It's going to be
So I would nominate
a
Nigel.
curveball, but I'd
those
nominate
reasons.
Curly just because I think he came to one game day, saw the team, joined the team, and not having, let's say, any knowledge. I'd say I'm not slating him at all for it, but it's not having any knowledge of one, working in the team, two, how, let's say, the mill sim actually works, and it's kind of he's been molded in quite well. It's a case of, yeah, you can actually just teach him how to be in a team rather than getting rid of the bad habits, then starting to build up. It's a case of he's acted how he is, and he's slowly he's molding relatively quickly, I think, in my eyes.
I agree. Agreed.
I think so, and I like his enthusiasm as well. Yeah. I think that's some good picks. I think that's some really good picks. And that's obviously, we're not putting anyone else down in the team. Those are just ones that come to mind. But everyone's got their own achievements and their own progression ladder. And everyone progresses. Whether it's at a different speed or a different base knowledge from the get go. Everyone ticks their own boxes, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's great how people can surprise you sometimes.
100%. It's nice.
Yeah. So go back to the training. I know you guys train on the regular. So have you tried any new training routines, regimens this year, or is it still kind of like your bread and butter doctrine of if it ain't broke, don't fix it?
I will. It's going to be pretty boring, but I do. It is the bread and butter. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The training program I put together for the team, is one that stretches over a number of years. To be honest, it's hard to cram. For example, say my 15 months of infantry training into 15 months of civilian life. It's just impossible. So you've got to condense and spread out, obviously on game days and at events and so on and so forth. So we're still in progress of that sort of training schedule, so to speak. Each time we have a training session, we'll do a bit of revision on the last one to make sure lads still remember, and then the main body of the lesson normally is something completely new, or it's the next stage in a certain drill. So I think the last major one we did was patrol formations, covering arcs, the use or the implementation of when you go firm mid patrol or mid movement, the use of herringbone, all this sort of thing. Again, the very, very basics, but all these need to be nailed before we can move on to the advanced stuff. So in terms of new routines or preparation methods, those will come in time. It's just a case of progress, really.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah,
It is. I mean,
Cool. So,
and
what's
it's
the
always the
one
case,
thing
if you're
that
only
you've
as
learned as
strong
a
as your
team, like
weakest link,
collectively, that you're
if
going to
someone's not
carry
quite there
into
yet
next year's
with
campaign?
one aspect, it's a kind of, it might be taking a step back, but it's to take 2 steps forward, because you can implement the training that you're at, and they'll get it and they'll understand it. But at the same time, there's no point trying to keep moving forward if they don't know the absolute bones of it. It's like call outs and everything, like something as simple as just talking on a radio. It's all that kind of stuff. You take 1 step back to move 2 steps forward.
Yeah, I'm going to roll my own eyes and say that Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
But yeah, so what's the one thing that you've learnt this year that you'll carry into next year?
Brooks, you start us off. We'll go down the list, mate.
I think it is going to be one thing to bring in for next year is I think it's mainly going to be, it is mainly down to training, because we're in talks of, well, trying to organise training days rather than just the standard training before, going through points afterwards over Discord and stuff like that. Because it's a case of, yeah, you can easily sit there and read it and go, oh, I need to do that better. But the best way to learn is, in my eyes, through practical work. So more training days will be much better than just reading or watching a video sitting on your ass thinking, oh yeah, I can do that. I think that's going to be something to take into next year. And then it's also, I think, especially with all the stuff that we're doing outside of Airsoft, like the walks and the meals and everyone just getting together, I think that's a good thing to keep like, just in a sense, keeping people happy, as well as not keeping people happy. That sounds like it's an absolute chore, but you understand what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. What do you reckon, Joe?
Yeah, I'd go with training as well. Not being ex-infantry or anything, it helps me a lot, all the training we do, because I'm not that used to all this type of stuff and fairly new to it. So I'd go with training as well, because it makes a massive impact on the game day.
Yeah, same for me, because obviously we have the training sessions on game days, so we're limited on time. And then there's so many other things that can limit the time, having your guns chrono checks, getting signed in. So there's travel, arriving on time, which is hard for them. So a dedicated training session would benefit the whole team in general, in my eyes.
Yeah, 100%. Like a full day, or even like a half day dedicated to just purely training.
We just need to find somewhere to do it.
Yeah.
Aye.
It's the only thing holding us back,
we
isn't
might have
it?
something in the works, so yeah, we'll see. But that will definitely speed up the rate of progress for
Yeah,
sure.
100%.
And if we can capture a good amount of individuals from the team to attend those days, as a collective, again, that bar will raise together. I will agree with those three. The training and the implementation of focused training days is definitely something I want to start next year.
Yeah.
I would also say, I don't know how to word it really, but more care with how we recruit more care and more focus on the image of the team going forward, especially physically on game days. We've had a couple of minor incidents this year which have had the potential to have a slightly negative effect on the reputation of the team. I don't think they have, but where there's potential, obviously there's risk, and when there's risk, well, you never know. There's a possibility. So I think just going forward with the mindset, which I know everyone has already, but just this team, it's like Brooks, I believe, said, it's only as strong as its weakest member, but it's only as it's only held in regards as highly as its sort of lowest held member, if that makes sense. If you've got a guy representing and regular members of a site know that member as a bit of a troublemaker, then automatically the rest of the team are troublemakers. So going forward with that focus to keep our relationships, which we have already, healthy, happy, and fun. The relationships we have with marshals, with sites, other teams, keeping it all on the upwards. If you can hear my daughter in the background, I do apologise. Training and
I'd
team
throw
image.
on discipline with that as well, because it's a case of, I know I like a saying. I'm going to keep saying more saying, so don't worry about that. It's a case of good news travels slow, but bad news travels quite fast. So if you have one little blip, it's going to stick with you more than, he's been a good lad, he's done this, he's done that. It's going to stick more in your head to everyone, not just the team, especially to the marshals. It'll just niggle in the back of their head, and it's just a case of keeping the discipline high. Might be a stressful, you're getting shot at, there's still teammates behind you, you're still getting shot at. You obviously put your hand up at that point, you've moved to the side, you're still getting hit. It's a case of, let's say, grit and bearing it. It's that discipline there, and then holding the tongue rather than lashing out, which everyone tries to do, but obviously there's only so much pain people can endure.
That's it, yeah.
100%.
I mean, I'm no stranger to jeffing up players when I did tackle one too many times.
Hard when the adrenaline's pumping through you and something doesn't go your way, even though you know it did go your way, but it's been the bigger man, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's all about that.
Yeah. Again, like people, not just within the team, but just airsofters in general, I'd like to point out to anyone listening that your value is measured by those around you. You may think whatever you want of yourself, but to the outside world, to the perspective of everyone else, your value is what they make it. So if you make yourself look like an arse, guess what? You're an arse. And people tend to forget that, whether they're in the team or not. Your value is measured by those around you. But yeah, just a little thing.
Yeah, excellent stuff. So I know you mentioned like moments of like heat from the team, or like bits of moments of drama, but have you made any like new alliances or friendships or even rivalries this year worth mentioning?
Yeah, I'll answer this one. So in terms of alliances, we're always reaching out to other teams, companies, and similarly so we're quite often receiving correspondence from companies, teams, whether it's just to have a little chit chat, whether it's to talk about a bit of kit or a post we've made on Insta, for example. We're always networking, spreading the good word, so to speak. And I consider that making friends, being on a pally basis with a team, where if the occasion was to arise, was like, we're doing an event, would your team like to attend to, play op for example? Having that ability in the back burner can be quite useful. Rivalries. I'm not going to name name and shame. There's definitely one group of individuals who took it upon themselves to essentially conduct some fairly naughty bits and pieces at our expense. Again, I'm not going to name and shame. If they're listening, I'm sure they know who they are. And if they are listening, you guys suck. But yeah, yeah, there's that group of individuals. The thing is, at the end of the day, of all the stuff they've tried, they're the ones who are actually losing. They're having to reap what they've sowed. So that's just a lesson learned for them, I hope. But in terms of individuals on game days, like everyone here said, including yourself, mate, you have the occasional barmy, the occasional falling out with people. But as a team, when we conduct our debriefs, when we're having that pint down the pub or whatever, you talk about it. You sort of look at the facts, the factual side of it, whether you're in the right or wrong. And I understand, and it's sort of unfortunate sometimes that martials law, they are the judge, jury, and executioners. And again, this is nothing against marshals. If they're listening, it's nothing against marshals that we've encountered. They're all great. But there have been multiple times where we know full well a marshal was in the wrong, yet we know we still have to go along with what they say because it's their site, and we don't want to tarnish any relationship we have with them. But that does get frustrating. And, every now and then that frustration boils over a little bit and you have a little pop, simple. And then it resets, But yeah, it is what it is. There's nothing really worth digging any deeper into. Like I say, I'd like to think, we might be a bit of a Marmite team. You might hate us, you might love us. Either or, doesn't really matter to us. But the people we do encounter, I think these guys would agree, 99% of encounters are always positive.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, not much to say on that, really.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So this year, obviously, you've been putting up the adverts and promotional material for your branching out of the Legion with the regional and international offshoots. But we need to ask, how has that actually been going for you guys this year? Any interest?
Yeah, so we have recruited a few individuals that aren't from our local area. And again, it's still open now. So if you listen to this and you're curious, you're interested, shoot us a message on Instagram at the 10th Legion _airsoft team. Yeah, so we've got the international, the second century, which includes our first century, which is Dorset based. They attend Ground Zero every 2 weeks. We've then got a second century who are, I suppose you could say, multi-location, and that's the international century. We've got a few individuals in there. We've got a gentleman from Scotland, a gentleman from London, and another guy from, I want to say, Midlands, I think. Obviously, it's a bit different, and I wouldn't say awkward for them because they haven't met us physically and they don't play with us physically. It's a bit hard. It's a bit harder to touch base with them and see the progress they're making. Obviously, they don't have the benefit of taking part in training because, again, they're not nearby. But it is a way for people to join a Milsim team, work with us, and represent and be part of something bigger, part of something ever evolving and bettering themselves and becoming part of a family, really. So it's going slow, but it is going,
Oh, awesome stuff. So these next two questions I'm going to roll into one because obviously I know we've already covered that there's no standard set piece for personal kit. So we're going to go around the table and sort of get everyone's go through on this one. So has your kit evolved in any major way this year? And if it has, what's that standout piece of gear that's really stood out for you this year?
Equipment wise, I'll go with I'm an M4 kind of guy through and through. I think it's it's the American gun, which it's proven to be worth in the real world. I think it's definitely worth me carrying it around. I currently run with the Tokyo Marui M4A1 gas blowback, and as a spare, I've got a G&G GC16 M4A1, which I run. But if that one's not capable, let's say in the cold weather, which we all know right now it isn't. But no, it's just the standard bits of kits that we carry. It's the EMOs, M32s. I think it's the M32s. They're great bits of kit. I think that's kind of the nicest bit of kit I carry around. That isn't the rifle itself.
Yeah, for myself, it's also, I used to run multicam until I joined the 10th Legion. Then I made the step up pretty much instantly to go to ATACs. As Jay said, mint stuff via, I used
you can't beat it.
Invader gear. And then also because I changed my camouflage pattern, that meant battle belts, chest plates. So I changed from a chest rig to a plate carrier. OD Green Warrior Assault Systems, the most comfortablest thing I've ever worn all game day. That's for me the biggest improvement. No matter how many guns I've got, I wear that for a full game day, and I don't even know I'm wearing it. It's absolutely true comfort and well worth the money.
Kit, to be fair.
Yeah, I can carry HPA bottle and cargo pack on the back, full map, and you don't know you're wearing it.
No, that's nice. I do like that one. For me, it's a love and hate relationship with my Tokyo Marui AKM. I've fully Zenit.
Oh, I see it at the moment.
I know. I fully Zenit code it. It was a project of mine. I started a couple of years ago, and very recently I've finished it with the last edition of a genuine surefire. But I don't know if it's just unluckiness. My full, I've got quite severe bolt bounce, therefore my full auto doesn't work. Semi works absolutely fine. So I've got a $2.5 gun that doesn't like full auto, which is a real kick in the bollocks because the recoil on it, which is what a lot of people buy a TM for, especially with the ZET gas system, the recoil feels quite close to real steel firearms, but the functionality, the performance is great, by the way, but the functionality lets it down a little bit. And you think for a gun of that cost, you want it working fully. And I've tried multiple times. We've got one of our members, Gus, who's supposed to be here this evening, an absolute guru with anything gas blowback, has worked with me countless nights trying to diagnose and find remedies. But it's always been my signature, I suppose you could say, for my loadout. From nearly the very start, my TM-AKM has been my signature piece of kit. And it's a love-hate relationship. It pisses me off, but when it works, when I get hit kills or hits with it, it's fucking satisfying.
It is the satisfyingness of people running AEGs, firing full mags into what they can't actually see, and it's having gas blowback only running 35 to 50 rounds in a mag, and you just semi-firing it. It is like I was saying before, the small victories that you get that just make it sweeter.
Absolutely.
It's all down to mindset rather than just spray and pray, which I believe AEGs do.
I don't think I've ever fired my gas blowback.
No. Well, the thing is, anyone who has a gas blowback knows it forces you to learn and adapt to trigger discipline. You can't afford to hold down the trigger. Again, like Brooke says, AEG, fucking, I don't even want to say it, it disgusts me, but HPA, um, you know, they do just, you know, a bush moves. That's it. 400 rounds are going in that arc. Whereas gas blowback, you know, you see a target, you maybe have a chance to fire 2, 3, maybe 4 rounds. You know, and you might be coming under heavy suppressive fire, but you manage to you know, to dome them with those 2 or 3 rounds. It's a confidence boost, a reassurance, but it also proves the discipline and the training from the individuals in the team that they're able to overcome the odds of being outgunned. It does really go to show.
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm no military guy, but from what I've read up on with like real world militaries, a lot of them don't even use full auto. They always go to like single shot because obviously it affects recoil or might knock your shot up kind of thing. And obviously you only got a finite amount of bullets in your mag as well, so that can also like affect.
No, you're absolutely right. You're sorry, Brooks, mate.
It is the case. Oh, sorry.
Go on.
Right, it is the case. It's a mechanical gun, so it's a case of the more you use it, the more it wears away. It's a case of it is designed to do that, but it's more functional to shoot semi-auto. It's more built that way, especially the magazines in the real world as well. There's only a finite number of bullets or pellets. If like Campbell said, it just forces you into the discipline, and it is a case of the more you use it, the more it wears, and obviously, especially with the price of guns as well, you don't want to keep taking it apart, buy a new part, put it back together, and then mechanical, hoping that it works.
Yeah. I mean, and again, just to add a little bit onto it, I don't know what Brooks's training involved. Probably something to do with painting lots of grey paint or something. But I know I know, you know, like you say, you train in 99% of the time. You train semi-auto. You know, whether it's cadence shooting at 15 meters, or you're doing a marksmanship assessment, or a Calfex, or advanced to contact, or something where the last target's at like 300 meters. You'd be, if you try to hit those targets at full auto, yeah, good luck. With a rifle anyway. Obviously I was MG platoon, so you know, with a Gympie, you know, your only fire mode really is full auto, but then you've got the weight of the gun to help with recoil. You've got a bipod, and then hopefully by the time you're competent, you've got a set of bigger arms to hold the gun with. But you get used to it then, and obviously it's a different principle with a machine gun. With any belt-fed weapon, your job is to suppress the enemy, not to be pinpoint. Your job is to suppress volume of fire. But yeah, you translate that into airsoft, and if you're already used to real-world training and semi-auto, then it just comes naturally with gas blowback, which is why I think a lot of ex-forces naturally lean towards gas blowback. Obviously, people have their own preference, but just from people I've met, for the most part, who are ex-forces, they like the gas blowback because it's a bit of nostalgia. You know, it feels more realistic. You know, a lot of people hate on the gas blowback users, or think it's silly, rather. And they can think that if they want. I mean, everyone has their preference for a reason, right? So you want to play HPA, okay, fine. You know, but you know, we want to play gas blowback, so works for us.
You managed to say that without gagging. No, I was going to say that. Yeah, that's all I have to say. That's.
Aye. I mean, I had like a similar experience with competitive Nerf, so to kind of bring it to speed with that sort of side of things, you've got springers and flywheelers as like your main ones. So your flywheelers like your battery operated ones with the 2 flywheels, pushes the dart through, and that does it that way. Then the springers, just kind of like a manual pump action sort of thing. You've only got like, again, a finite amount of darts in the mag. I mean, in mine, you had about 15 shots to make count, and you know, like you can't carry that much more in them. So yeah, you got to really train your shot in, and that's what I found most of my playtime doing, really. And when I stepped over into the airsoft, I was like, fucking hell, like I can get 500 rounds in this mag, you say? And like these ones I can get 140 in. It's like, what the hell? And yeah, so like, but I was still like training myself to do semi-auto because I didn't want to like go for all me shots. And, you know, like it took a long while to realize that, you know, actually I can do full auto. And sometimes you have to as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times I've been in a game where you've got to really sort of like lay the fire down. And yeah, it's just like, it's a mad switch from like going really precise to like full auto. But, you know, I can see why you guys do it, you know, because it really grounds you in, and I love it.
Yeah. It is a case of it's sacrificing functionality over realism.
Yeah.
Or going gas blowback. It's a case of everyone likes shooting the enemy team and getting the kills. You're obviously going to get more kills with an AG or a HPA, and it is just in the sense that sacrifice if you're willing to actually go ahead with it.
Yeah, it changes the whole game. It really does.
Yeah, awesome. So we're gonna sort of roll into like the what your main goals are for next year, and are there any sort of dream sites or operations that you want to really get involved in? You know, really like sink your teeth into, sort of thing.
Jay, do you want to go first, mate?
I'd go for our team Milsim. That's an event I want to happen.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. It's having a platoon big enough to, let's say, have our entire team halved and attacking each other. Is needing that, let's say, player base on our team, but that would be a lovely goal to actually reach and achieve, and it would be good to actually, because I've only met the Cumbria lads. I haven't met any of the other. Like Campbell said, it's a case of you talk to them on Discord and that, and it's I haven't actually seen them. You can't put a name to a face, and it'd be good to actually meet the lads, see the lads, have a crack, and then hopefully, if it's a Cumbria v the rest, it would be get a few kills and walk away.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, as a team, we've already run 3 Milsim events down south, so we know it's doable. But the only deciding factors are just numbers and reliable numbers that people will turn up, because obviously people have their own lives. So trying to find a date which you can get decent amount of people. I mean, I think the last one we had 23 members attend, which is enough to run the day. But it's numbers, but it's also obviously the level of competency. There's no point in trying to run a milsim when people aren't ready for a milsim, and that's something obviously I've alluded to with lads in the team, that the harder you try to learn, or the more information you try and take on board and become proficient with, the better it'll be for when we get to that day of let's start planning a milsim. The team will be ready for it. So those are the sort of two goals. The two things which are holding us back at the moment is recruitment. Essentially, that's what it boils down to, is recruitment, and then just trying to get as much training time in as we can. But for 2026, I think it's very, very possible that we will we'll hit both of those targets in terms of numbers and level of ability.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think to start the new year off, training is the biggest priority.
Yeah.
Anything else after the lots of training comes second nature.
Yeah.
Mills event will be more beneficial after having lots of training sessions.
When everyone's ready.
Yeah. So I think we're more.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way.
In this next year. So that's probably two things on the ticket to do. Training first, and then looking for milsim or hire a site for the day. So that'll be a full-on milsim at first.
So that'll more likely be the end of year goal.
Yeah, that also comes down to training as well, So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It'll be good when it happens, though.
Like, we've got lads in the second cohort, first century, from the south, who they've been to all three of the events we've hosted, organised, and executed. And two of the lads are ex-Portuguese military, one para, one marine. And just to back up the level of realism at our events, I mean, even they've said, that is literally like going on a military exercise. So for that level of realism, it's almost like it's like you play a game, right? And to access this area, you need to be a certain level. It's almost like that. To access this level of realism, you need to be at a certain competency.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to gain nothing from it, and it's going to be a shit day.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with those goals. Both those goals there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that idea of like a 10v10 sort of scenario. So, like, I don't know, say half your legion's gone rogue, they've been bought up by some fucking Mexican cartel or something like that. And, you're sort of having to fight each other for control over a region, like take objectives and,
I like that
idea. Yeah, definitely make that happen. I'd be interested to see how that pans out. So, yeah, I'm going to close off with what message would you want to send out to the community as you close out this year?
Go on, Brooks.
Save loads of money so you can spend it on airsoft and come join the team.
Jay?
I just play fair, take your hits, and have fun.
Yeah. Go on, Mick. Give us something juicy, mate.
Well, hopefully everyone's enjoyed this podcast. And then if you feel like joining the team, join the 10th Legion. And you'll never regret it.
Yeah. I guess, obviously, I'll say Merry Christmas. Have a good one. Don't drink too much. Health and safety and all that. Everyone loves a bit of health and safety. But yeah, no, if you are genuinely interested and you want to get into the more real side of it, you want to make some friends, some good friends, some like-minded individuals, experience other things, not just airsoft, like, taking part in outdoor events, whether it be overnight hiking, camping, doing the Wainwrights, ticking those bucket list items, as well as obviously learning real world tactics. And again, like I've said before, all the training we conduct, whether it's from me or other competent individuals or qualified individuals, it's all free. We do not charge for any training whatsoever. It's free information. We're not one of those companies who host courses that you have to pay for. And I can guarantee you the level of training we give is on par with the same as them. It's the same as them. Obviously, I'm not talking like SF level. I wasn't SF. I won't pretend to be. But in terms of regular soldiering, in infantry rifleman's level, what you get with us is what I got when I was trained. So it is what it is. And it works, as these lads have been stating here. So yeah, if you are interested, hit us up on Instagram. Again, it's at the 10th Legion _airsoft team. And you'll be speaking directly to me and we can take it from there. But apart from that, yeah, Merry Christmas. Have a good one.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I mean, lads, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show with us. If the audio is a bit skew-iffy, then just blame the ball, prick it down back radio. But yeah, with that all being said, wish you guys all the best. And yeah, we shall hopefully touch base in the new year. So I'll be definitely keeping tabs on what you guys are up to. And yeah, we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you for having us on. It's much appreciated.
Guys, mate, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Have a good one, mate.
Thanks for listening to Diamondback Radio. We'll see you next time.